Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to this week's episode. And it is episode number 146 for December the 21st, 2021. And let's just jump into what I've been working on. And I have all my Christmas stuff done. That's out of the way. But I'm now working on some other gifts and other projects as well as we get ready to roll into the new year. So I'm just going to switch my screen over to show you this creation. This is a quilt that I have made as a housewarming gift for a friend of mine who's moving into a new apartment on January the 1st. This was a kit, and I've had this kit for many, many years. I bought this kit very early in my quilting career, which is now, about 4 years ago? Hard to believe how time flies when you're having fun sewing. But it was on sale at Ultimate Sewing. I picked it up, and if you look at it closely, you would think that maybe I did the curve piecing, but I did not. That is actually a panel that came in the kit that has been cut into strips, and then other pieces of fabric added to those strips to give you that staggered look. Excuse me. So I did have somebody mention to me that they thought they said that I had done a really good job of the curve piecing. Well, I had to confess that I had not done any, that was printed onto the fabric. But nevertheless, it was an easy quilt, a fast quilt to put together. And it's not huge. It's only about 36 by approximately 36. This picture makes it look like it's a rectangle, but it's more of a square. So it's a throw. But, I think it's a good size for, like throwing across your lap or kind of a thing while you're watching TV. If it's a little drafty. I mean, the apartment he's moving into is kind of an older building, so who knows? It could be drafty. But nevertheless, I think he'll like it. It's in shades of black and grays, and it's very masculine, I think, in its design. No real flower pieces on here or anything like that. Basically geometric shapes. And that's what I did with the quilting as well. I put it on Lucy and I did this geometric design. It's a very modern design. I'll just blow it up here a little bit so you can see. So I think that goes well with it. And just to make sure it does look really masculine, on the back, which I did not take a picture of, the backing fabric I used is camouflage. That's why you can't see it. Get it? Okay, little joke there, never mind. But it's in black and gray as well. So anyways, it didn't take long to make, as I said, and it's ready to go. And whenever we have a little housewarming party for him, I'll be giving him this quilt as a gift. So that's one project I've been working on. And then I did make another Christmas present. This was an experiment. I call it Freddy. That is not a quilt. It is a small wall hanging. But I'll tell you how this came to be. My niece, well, actually Walter's niece, she has a Doberman. She loves Dobermans. And I have found out since being around her Doberman and others that they're basically big sucky dogs. They're just dogs. They're just nice dogs. I think they get a bad rap sometimes as being vicious. Well, it's more their owners than the dog itself, and it's a learned behavior. But her dog is very, very lovable, and it's very, very big as well. So she has pictures on her Facebook page of Freddy, that's his name, and I thought, well, maybe I could make her a quilt. That was my original idea. And I went looking for Doberman fabrics, and I did find some. I've actually found some on Amazon, and Spoonflower has some, but I didn't order any yet because I want to talk to her to see if that would be something she'd be interested in. Because the fabric itself, because it's a specialized fabric, tends to be a little bit pricier than your ordinary quilting cotton. But anyways, while I was doing my research for that, I thought I looked for some embroidery designs of Doberman. And yes, there are ones, and I downloaded them. But I thought I wanted to make this very personal. So I do have Artistic Digitizer, which is the program by Janome for creating your own custom embroidery files. So there is a facility in that where you can sort of pick up a JPEG and drop it into the program and create an embroidery design. There's a little bit more to it than what I'm explaining right now. It's fairly complex, actually. A lot of fiddling around with it. So I went to her Facebook page and found a picture of Freddie. And this was a full-length picture of Freddie. You saw his paws and everything like that. And he was wearing a cute little bandana and stuff like that. But it had a very busy background as well. So I did some manipulation in Adobe Photoshop to start with, where I removed the background and I just focused on Freddie's head. Did a little bit of cleanup on it, and then I dropped that version into Artistic Digitizer. Did some more cleanup, some more adjusting, and the end product is what you see in front of you right now. And I think it turned out very well. I hope that when she sees it, that she realizes this is Freddie. That made me very happy if when she looked at it and said, oh, it's Freddie. Mission accomplished at that point. So anyways, I printed that or sewed that out, and then I built the rest of the wall hanging around it. And then I did some ruler foot quilting on my domestic machine in the triangles that are there. As you can see, that shows up. But there is more quilting in all the negative space in here. And I'm just going to pull it up a little bit more so you can see it. So I did the same thing. And I just kept it straight line and just did echoing. But I think it looks really quite nice. And I think she'll appreciate it and hang it on a wall somewhere, because that's what it's designed for. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Notice there are some stars. These I did on my embroidery machine, and they are steam machined down very well to this. And the reason I made them is because they hide a little oops. Excuse me again. When I was creating the flying geese, because that's what each one of these is a flying geese, however you want to say it. And I laid it out here. Well, because this isn't perfectly square, it's more of a rectangle. The end pieces fit fine, but the pieces at the top and the bottom, there's a little gap. Now, it didn't look bad with the little gap, but I didn't want the little gap. So I added these stars, and it hides the little gap. So yeah, I'm cheating a little bit on that, but it serves its purpose. So anyways, I'm giving that to her as a Christmas gift. And also along with that, I'm going to tell her that, I'd be more than happy if she would like one to make her a full-size quilt, the Doberman theme, if she wants that. If she doesn't want that, I'll make her something different if she wants a quilt at all. So yeah, I've been kind of busy at all of this stuff lately. So those were the latest projects that I finished. So that takes me to what else has been happening. Well, right now, of course, in this week, all the quilt stores in my area are having these big sales. Some sales are a little better than others. As you know, that's how it goes. But there's one quilt store in my area that I don't go to a lot, but I do like to go to them every now and then. That's Annie's. And I have talked about Annie's before, and I've even reviewed Annie's as well. And I believe Annie's, I have a link in the show notes to Annie's online store. And she was having a sale one day only, 25% off all her fabrics in the store. So I thought I'd take a look online to see what she had. Well, she had this line, which is a new line. And let me just find the picture for you. This is, not a new line, but it's by Northcott, but it is the 10th anniversary of the O Canada collection, which has been a very popular collection. I've had many meters of that fabric from that collection over the past couple of years. And I believe these ones are a new design for the 10th anniversary. Now, they're new to me. Maybe they're not that new, but they're new to me. So 25% off, I decided to get 2 meters of each of these. Do I have a plan for them? Nope, I do not. But I like them. I love Northcott fabrics to start with, and this is no exception to that love. So yeah, at 25% off, and her prices usually range about $20 a meter. So I think I did pretty good on that. So that's one thing. And I have started a new project. Now, I started this back a while ago. It's an in the hoop project for making a New York Beauty quilt. Actually, I'm working on it more, not a full-size quilt, but more of a wall hanging, at least right now. Now, it could evolve, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me go back here. And here's the beginnings of it. Now, what you do is you create each one of these 8x8 blocks on your embroidery machine. It's a form of, it's cross between applique and paper foundation piecing, the way this is done. It is very easy, but you can see the end result is very, very effective. I'm doing this all out of batiks, and it's a kind of a scrappy. I'm not worried about the placement of the colors in most cases. I try not to put two colors together next to each other. And it also does the quilting in here. Now, I hesitate calling this quilting. It's a design, it's on there, but there isn't any batting on this. This is not a quilt sandwich. I could do it as a quilt sandwich, and that quilting would puff up a little bit more. But then the problem is I have to do is sort of a quilt as you go kind of project. I'd have to put each of those blocks together, and you know that's a real pain in the butt when you have to do that. At least I find it is. I find it very tedious, and so I'm not doing it that way. I will sew each of these blocks together like I've done here. And then I will put the batting on it and the backing, and I'll probably just do a very simple stitch in the ditch along each of these quadrants just to hold the backing in place. And that's why I say this is going to be a wall hanging. Now, my design right now is there are 3 different block designs for this New York Beauty. This is one with this design in the quilting. And you can see it's a little different here on this one. And so what I'm going to do is, this is my center, and then there'll be 3 of these here. And so there'll be another one that'll go in this spot. And I'll do exactly the same thing on the bottom corner using this pattern. And then I'll use the 3rd pattern, which I do not have a picture of here because I haven't done one yet, that will run at each of these corners. So what the effect will be, I'm hoping, is it'll look like this one has been overlaid on other New York Beauty blocks. But in a sense, there'll be one block missing, but you wouldn't know that. It'll give you the illusion. Now that'll make a piece that is about 36 inches by 36 inches in size, because each one of these is finished as 8 inches. That'll be 32, not 36. Yeah, it'll be 32 by 32, because 8 and 8 is 16, and 16 is 30. Yeah, okay, good, got the math. So that's not huge. I might put more on the top and the bottom, using this sort of the same corner technique, but using 6x6 blocks. I'll have to see mathematically how that would work out on here. We'll see. It is a work in progress. It's going to take me a while to do and to finish. And knowing me, I'll get bored with this pretty soon. And I'll probably set it aside and work on something else and then come back to it at some point in time. But anyways, that is what I have started now. Okay, so that takes me to my little demo section, and I need a little coffee. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about scissors, because I'm seeing on a lot of the online quilting stores, part of their sales are sales on scissors. And you know, scissors are an expensive property. It's an investment, and you want really good scissors, but you don't just want one pair of scissors. You will usually have a lot of different scissors for different things, and I am no exception to that rule. I do as well. So I thought I'd share with you my favorite scissors that I go to all the time. So I'm just going to throw them up here on the screen for you as I talk about, oh, that's nice. I have that sideways. Let me correct that. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I have things the right way now. So these are the 5 pairs of scissors that I use most often. Of course, these are my shears. They're never far away from me at all. This is a great pair of scissors. This came from a company that's Canadian, LDH Scissors. You can look them up online. Very reasonable prices. And just a little tip, and I think I reviewed them once a while ago here on Idiot Quilter. If you go to their seconds, I think they call it seconds, you can get a really good price on all of their scissors. And the reason they're in there as seconds is simply because they might be, the finish on them might have gotten scratched in one little part. It did not affect how the scissors work. So if you're not concerned about having scissors that look a little scratched, then you might want to go there, and you'll get probably about 25% off the regular price. I think this pair of scissors cost me, and they were seconds, I think they cost me about $60, something like that. But I love them. They're absolutely, they've got a good weight. They come in a wide variety of different finishes. I think this was the rainbow finish, although the picture doesn't show that up very well. And Walter uses them as well. He has a set, and really, really like them. And they're a great company, great customer service, the whole bit. And they do come with a guarantee. So yeah, you might want to check them out. That's LDH Scissors. Now, of course, you need something a little smaller as well. And these scissors I use a great deal, especially when I'm doing long arm quilting. They actually hang on my long arm machine, so they're right at my fingertips, because you're always cutting threads and things like that when you're doing that kind of thing. I'm not sure who makes these scissors. They're not the same as LDH. However, you can get scissors like this from LDH, and I'm thinking I should order another pair this size to keep in my sewing room, because of course Lucy is not located in my sewing room. She has her own room, and just for the sake of convenience, because I do use these quite a bit. Now, of course, snips. You're going to need snips, and I love these ones. I got them with this holder. When I go to sew, the first thing I do is I throw these on around my neck, and there they hang, and they're right within my grasp. And I love these little scissors. You're always having to cut thread ends or whatever, and so they're right there around my neck. In fact, I wear them so often that sometimes I forget. I've had them on all day long, and I will go out to pick up something at a store, throw on my coat, and realize I'm still wearing my scissors. They've almost become a fashion accessory in some ways for me. These scissors I cannot live without. If you are doing machine embroidery, you definitely need a pair of these duck-billed or platypus, I'm not sure what they call them, scissors. They are great when you're doing in the hoop applique for trimming around and getting really close without cutting the actual threads of your embroidery. They definitely, if you're into machine embroidery, these are a must-have. There's another pair of scissors that I bought at the same time as I bought these that were recommended for machine embroidery, and they're basically hoop scissors. They're curved so that, you know, you can get right in close and tight, but I don't use those very often. They're good scissors, but these are the ones I go to all the time, and I love them. And then the pair on the end, the very large shears here with the flat edge, these are a must for cutting batting, especially, or large pieces of fabric, like you're cutting your backing fabric or something like that. They work like a charm. They're easy to keep straight, so you don't get a lot of those little jaggy pieces, you know, as you're cutting down a long strip. They are wonderful. Now, I did have a cheaper pair of these originally that I really liked. They were by Fiskars. They worked fine. But these ones I picked up at Whirls and Swirls, my long arm store, and I'm not sure who makes them, but you can find them online readily. They're readily available. They weren't particularly cheap. I think this pair cost me about $59 Canadian, but well worth it. They cut through batting, they cut through fabric like butter. And because of this flat edge, They're so easy to maneuver. So yeah, these are my go-to scissors. I have other scissors as well. One does tend to collect scissors as a quilter or as a sewist. But these are the ones I reach for all the time, and I love them. I absolutely love them. Okay, so that takes me to the subscribers quilt of the week. And this is one by a regular viewer and subscriber to the Idiot Quilter, and we've seen some of her lovely creations before. And I'm speaking of Yvonne Mackenzie, and I'm going to insert my little review of her latest creation. This week's subscribers quilt comes from Yvonne Mackenzie, and Yvonne has sent us some pictures of her lovely creations before. And today we have two. The first one, she says, the Christmas panel for my grandson's girlfriend is what she made this one for. And the second one is a heart quilt. A friend gave me the hearts all cut, so I put them together to make this quilt. So yeah, let's go back to the Santa panel. Panels are really great for doing quick Christmas quilts that you might want to give to people as gifts. I've done this myself, and this looks really quite lovely, this quilt. It's fun, it's bright, and it doesn't look like it would take too much time to put together. Slap on a few borders, and it looks really nice. And I'm sure anybody would be pleased to get this as a gift. And let's just take a look at the quilting on here. And as you can see, it looks like Yvonne did some long arm quilting work. And I don't know, is that her long arm? I think that yes, it looks like that might be her long arm that it is hanging from. But I'm just taking a look at the quilting she did. And it looks like a fairly simple design, but nevertheless very effective. And it looks here like she's done, well, actually, I take it back. I don't think it is that simple a design. It looks like it's mitts and stylized snowflakes. And I don't know if Yvonne did this by free motion herself or she put it on as a pantograph, but either way, it looks really, really nice. And I think that's a really fun design in the background. It definitely adds texture to the quilt, but doesn't take away from the overall appearance. And if we go to her heart quilt, and this one too looks really interesting. She said that the hearts had already been cut out, so obviously it's applique. And we can see on the back, again, I'll just blow it up, the quilting she's done here with sort of a flower motif, which looks very nice as well. And again, she hasn't gone too heavy with the quilting so that the hearts do have the center focus, but at the same time, the quilt has lots of texture. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for sending those two pictures of your very lovely creations. And so if you'd like to have your quilt or sewing creations or even your art projects featured here on the Idiot Quilter, all you need to do is locate my email address, which is in the show notes below, and send me a picture or two, just one or two pictures. I've had a few people send me gobs of pictures, and I appreciate seeing your work. I love it, but I cannot feature 100 different pictures. So please limit yourself to one or two and a very short blurb about your creation as well. A couple of sentences. That's all it needs to be. And I will feature it here on a future episode of the Idiot Quilter. Okay, so that takes us to the YouTube channel of the week. This one is called Someday Chronicles, and I guess technically it's more of a travel vlog by an individual than it is a quilting one, but this particular person travels around to different quilt shops and does videos about them. And the one that caught my eye was she went into Missouri Star Quilt at some point in time, and she is showing you the different shops that are there. And if you've been to Missouri Star Quilt, then this won't be anything new for you. But like me, if you've only dreamed about going there, then this is the next best thing to actually being there. So here's my review of Someday Chronicles. This week's YouTube channel of the week is called Someday Chronicles, and this is not really a quilting YouTube channel as much as it is a travel vlog kind of channel. But I did find something very interesting where she does have some episodes about various quilt shops she has visited. And one of them that she talks about is the Missouri Star Quilt Company and all of its stores. And everybody's heard of the Missouri Star Quilt Company. And so I am sure you might be interested, if you've never visited this, seeing this particular video. She does have another video here about another quilt shop somewhere, which is also interesting. So although she's talking about, in general, trips around, it looks like the United States, she does have a few videos about quilt stores, which you might be interested in viewing. I always like those kind of videos because I like to see what other places have to offer. So you might want to check out Someday Chronicles. And that takes me to one of the patterns on my vision board for future consideration. And this one is another one by Art Gallery Fabrics, and it is a modern quilt, and it's called Evergreen, and it is a free pattern, and I have a link to this free pattern in the show notes as well. But here's what I'm talking about. This week's pattern that's on my vision board is another modern design by a company that I looked at last week called Art Gallery Fabrics. And this is a free pattern, and I've put the link for it in the show notes below. It's a PDF, and it's a very interesting looking quilt. Now, the one thing about this particular pattern, however, you do have to use a template for it as well. Now, they have some suggested fabrics, as they always do for their patterns, but of course you can use anything that suits your fancy. It tells you, it looks like it's done with strips, which is kind of nice, and they're all cut into these triangular shapes. And I believe there is a template at the end of this pattern that you can trace out and use. And yeah, here it is. And it tells you what to do with these templates and how to put them together. So personally, I'm not fond of patterns that have to have a template that I cut out, but this is one of my vision board ones because I do think the design is very modern in style, and I think it could look really cool if you use some batiks or very bright fabrics as well. So if you're interested in this one, check out the show notes below so you can get a copy of this free pattern. So this week I do not have an interview for you on the Idiot Quilter Presents, so I'm back to my musings. And I'm not sure if you're amused by my musings or not, but nevertheless, they are there for you. And this week I talk about gift-giving anxiety. You spend a great deal of time thinking, planning, buying the fabrics, being very, very careful with your assembly of a quilt or some other handmade gift, and you give it to the reciprocant, and the reaction you get is not what you were expecting. So I talk about that. And that can create a great deal of anxiety for many people. On the one hand, you want to give them something and you want to make it very personalized. On the other hand, you're a little worried about what the reaction might be. So that's what I discuss this week on the Idiot Quilter Presents Musings, Gift-Giving Anxiety. So the link for that is in the show notes. Okay, so that takes me to one of my quilts. This is a quilt that has taken several years to finish. Not because it was a complicated quilt. It's because I think I made this one in a class. It was a mystery quilt. That's right. It was a class on a mystery quilt. And there were some challenges with this particular quilt that I overcame, as I often do, and I learned from. And then it sat, waiting to be quilted. And because it was so large, because it's pretty much a queen size, I procrastinated about throwing it on my domestic machine and trying to do some kind of quilting to it. And of course, I had originally thought that I would take it down to Whirls and Swirls and, do it there. But then COVID hit, and that kind of put that idea on the back burner. So there it sat until I got Lucy. And then I thought, you know, my nephew and niece, it's time to give them a quilt. So I decided to finish this quilt up as a Christmas gift for my nephew, and it is done. And I just have to take it over to them on Christmas Day and present it to him. So this is what I'm talking about. This week's quilt, which is one of my own I'm going to critique, is one that I showed not so long ago, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about this one. And this is the quilt that I am giving to my nephew for Christmas. Now, he told me he liked the color blue. Good choice. So do I. And although this one does have blue in it, there are some other shades of purples and lavenders and kind of things in it as well. This was a mystery quilt through the guild that I once belonged to, and I didn't know what it was going to look like when it was finished. Now, it has been sitting for quite a while in my UFO pile waiting to be quilted. So I thought this was a really good time to go ahead and get this one quilted. It would give me the impetus to do it because it was going to be a gift. So let's just do a little bit more of a close-up of this. And as you can see, the blocks themselves, although they look very complicated, aren't that complicated because they're primarily made up of half square triangles. It is set on point, so there were set in square triangles that I had to use for this. And I do believe that the construction of this was done in strips to have these pieces put in. So it's not really set in triangles by the traditional way of doing something like that. Now, as for the quilting, you can see I did a pantograph on this one, and I think it turned out really nice. And I did something that had more of a swirly line to it, but at the same time is not too flowery because this is a quilt that I'm giving to a male, so I want to keep it relatively masculine. My corners all came out nicely mitered, and you can see just a hint of what I put as the background fabric. I have a bad tendency of not taking pictures of my backing. Yeah, not background fabric, backing fabric is what I mean. But it was sort of a blended, mottled kind of purpley blue fabric that I used that picked up the purples and blues on the front of the quilt. I am very pleased with this quilt, and I hope he will be very happy with it as well. So now we turn our attention to the quilt store, online quilt store of the week. This one is called Beaver Creek Mercantile and Urban Farmhouse Fabric. That's a mouthful. And it's like they have two different businesses combined into one, which I found a little confusing. But if you watch this video that I've made about that particular site, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This week's online quilt store is called Beaver Creek Mercantile and Urban Fabric Farmhouse. Now, that's an intriguing title for a website. Suggests to me that maybe they have more than just quilting fabrics and notions, but we'll soon find out. This is their first page, as you can see here, and it looks like a really lovely location that they have set up. They have a newsletter, and they talk about it. They say Beaver Creek Mercantile offers an amazing variety of premium quilting fabrics, quilting pre-cuts, and quilting supplies in the Caroline, Alberta area. I saw it on Google as being Red Deer, Alberta, so it must be in that general area. Our shop features a unique country store atmosphere, amazing natural scenery. Here you'll also find everyday low prices, expert advice, friendly personalized service, and plenty of creative inspiration. So off the bat, I'm a little bit confused. They call it Welcome to Beaver Creek Mercantile, but the title is An Urban Fabric. So not sure why they have two names, but maybe that has to do with the fabric line. Well, let's just go down a little further and see what they have. Quilt kits, pre-cuts, quilting panels. Use GJ8WJ to get fourth one free when you buy 3. Okay, that's interesting. So if you buy 3 panels, you get another one free. Okay, shop online, what's new, quilts, etc. Okay, let's shop online and let's check out their fabric prices, shall we? Okay, so kits and bundles are on sale. New arrivals, last chance saloon, must be end of the bolt kind of things. Shop Beaver Creek, Shop Urban Farmhouse Fabric. Okay, so the farmhouse is a fabric, a type of fabric. So let's shop that and see what it is, because I don't know anything about this line of fabric. Okay, I see they have lots of things listed here. Fireside Mickey Cuddle, Cuddle Text, pre-cuts, quilt kits, quilting cottons and flannels. Okay, let's go there. And okay, so they have quite a few different ones. They sell art gallery fabrics, which is the free pattern this week that I reviewed for you. Kona, Benetix, Batiks. It looks like they have a fair selection in the various brands. So let's pick one. Let's pick Hoffman, because that's a very common one, and see what they're charging. Okay, so they start with some panels, and here they have some of their prints. Okay, $19.95, $20.95. So they're a little higher end in the price, but not by that much. And I am assuming that that price is by either the yard or the meter. Let's take a look. It is by the meter. Well, that's very good to know. And as I said, it looks like they have a very good selection of various fabrics. Okay, let's check out, that one's pretty. Backsplash. Ooh, I'm just going to click on it. Just bear with me. Oh, okay, so it uses these fabrics. They're kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen those ones before. All right, let's go back to Shop Online. And let's just take a look at what they have on sale here, see what their sale prices are like. Okay, so these are bundles, I guess. Pre-cut, marked down. Okay, well, looks like they have some deep discounted sale prices, but I'm not really sure how deep discounted those really are. You'd have to do a comparison with other sites to figure that out for yourself. And what else is online? Let's take a look. Last Chance Saloon. See if there's any bargains to be had here. Well, there's a few ugly fabrics. What I think is ugly. But there might be something here that other people may like. What's one man's ugly is another man's beautiful. Okay. Yeah, I'm not impressed by what they have there. So obviously ends of the line kind of a things that they're trying to get rid of. Let's go to another category. New arrivals. Okay. Quilter's Trek, sale fabric by the meter. Okay, so we saw what the farmhouse fabric is, and they got Shop Beaver Creek. So it's like they have two stores in one. They have finished quilts for sale, Minky, backings, notions, patterns and books, pre-cuts. Let's see what they have for selection and patterns. Oh, looks like they've got quite a few patterns to choose from, because over here it says 1,359. It's all done by designers. So, okay. Basic gray. Let's just check prices. $13.50, $16. Okay. About average price for patterns, I would think. Now, let's go back up here to the Shop Online and go back down into Shop Beaver Creek. And there was, let's take a look at the notions. No, before we do that, let's look at kits. So I saw they had quilt kits. So let's see what they have to choose from in those. Bed size quilts. Ooh, I made that quilt and it's on my bed. That was one of my early quilts actually that I made. So let's see. Kits. Dragon quilt kit. Looks like a panel. Okay, well, there's some things to pick from here. So a lot of them look very much like they're probably paper piecing or panel kind types of quilts. But okay, something there. There might be something that would grab your interest. Let's go back. And yeah, they've got different categories for the kits. And I wanted to check out the pre-cuts because you know how I love my pre-cuts. And they have everything organized by category or type. Let's see, jelly rolls. I love jelly rolls. So let's see what they're pricing those. Okay. Prices, I guess, are about the average. And really, they don't have anything I haven't seen before. So, okay. That's okay, too, though. Now, let's check out their notions as well while we're here. I imagine their notions are pretty much the standard kind of thing. I get back over here. Their website's fairly easy to get around in, so that's always good. Notions. Yep, they've got bag making supplies. They put their batting and pellet under notions. Best press, cutting mats, miscellaneous. Okay, they've got the usual kind of selection. They have 41 pages of it, so there's lots and lots of notions to choose from. And they're all organized over on this left-hand side here as well. So that's easy navigation. Now, what I'm interested in finding out now is what is their shipping policy. So let's go to the bottom of the page because oftentimes that's where that kind of stuff is listed. And I am not finding anything. Information, close with pre-cut, show and tell, what's new. This is view all. Okay, it's categories, so maybe look over here at the left-hand side and see if we find something about shipping. Not really. Okay, let's do a search. Okay. Well, gift certificates. They have gift certificates. Free Canadian shipping on fabric and pre-cut orders over $150. Does not include batting, minky, or fireside. Okay, but I guess you won't find out about shipping or how it's shipped until you pick something. So let's pick something. Add to cart. Proceed to checkout. Okay. Check out. Okay, here's the shipping options. Okay, I put in my postal code. And it looks like for that little thing, I got economy. It would cost me about $5 for shipping. Well, that's pretty good considering they're out in Alberta and I'm in Ontario. I wonder if I make this a higher quantity, if that changes. Let's go for 4. Yes, it does. So it's basically a percentage of whatever you have bought. Well, I don't want that, so let's get rid of it. Okay, so let's go back to their home page. Anything new that we should look at? Quilts made with pre-cuts. Quilts made with pre-cuts. Are these for sale or are these kits? Oh, these are patterns. And are they freebie patterns? Let's see. Yep, they're free patterns. Very simplistic patterns, but they're free patterns. So that's interesting. Okay, well, let's go back again to the front page. And I would say that this is probably worth looking at and into. There might be something there that would grab your attention. Shipping doesn't seem too bad. And if you're in Canada, over $150, it's free shipping. So yeah, you might want to check out then Beaver Creek Mercantile and Urban Fabric Farmhouse. Okay, so that brings us to the end of another Idiot Quilter episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it or got some ideas. And of course, we're in a few days away from Christmas Day, the big event. And I am sure that by now, if you haven't, you should have all of your Christmas sewing done if you're giving things as gifts. You may be working out at the last minute too. I am not. I am done. It's time to move on. I'm looking forward to the new year and new projects and things like that. But I hope you have a really great Christmas. I hope you have a really safe Christmas, and you know what I mean by that. And let's hope that in a year's time, I will no longer have to say, I hope you have a safe Christmas. Well, at least, it'll be safe because we're not into this thing anymore. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble, aren't I? So I'm going to cut off now. I'm going to tune out. And if you haven't already. And yeah, I hope you have a really great Christmas. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.